Hey there, everyone. This is Travis Lima here from Paid Memberships Pro. And today I have a very special webinar episode for you. I'm being joined by a very charismatic person by the name of Matthew. And Matthew actually runs a music school, online music school down in Melbourne, Australia, called How to Play the Sax. And you can actually go and check out his website at howtoplaythesax.com. Matthew, this is the first time we're actually having someone who has built a membership site using Paid Memberships Pro on this webinar. How are you doing this afternoon?
Remarkably well for a man of my vintage there, Travis. Thank you so much for having me. It's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm in Melbourne in Australia and you're in somewhere else. So it's evening time here where I am. So I'm thinking dinner thoughts actually coming up soon.
Yeah. And for me, I'm thinking breakfast thoughts. It's always a little bit weird to, I'm starting the day and you sort of ending the day. You've got a bit of a glimpse into the future there.
I'll let you know the lotto numbers when they come up, so you can buy a ticket beforehand.
Yeah, sure. Yes, please. That would be fantastic. So Matthew, you are currently in Melbourne, and myself and my wife, we actually have some family in Sydney, Australia. And funny enough, about 3 years ago, we were in Sydney and we absolutely loved it. We were traveling with a group of people that were in Melbourne at the time, and then we met up in Sydney. And they actually said that Melbourne reminded them quite a lot of South Africa and particularly Cape Town.
Okay.
And we loved it while we were there. We felt like, the climate was very similar to back home, and the culture was just really easy to get on with fellow South Hemispherians, in Australia. So I'm happy to have you on.
It is nice. Thank you. It is nice here. I've been to Sydney many times. It's not a bad place, not a bad part of the world. Alas, South Africa is on my list, but I haven't been there yet.
Yes, yeah, you should come when you can. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll feel at home, I'm sure. Cool. So, Matthew, I've got some comments already coming in, and from Patricia in Sweden. Patricia, we're going to give you a shout out in a moment. She says that, maybe I'll bring up the comment real quick. She says that I'm starting my day too. It's 9 a.m. here in Sweden, and I think we are in the same time zone as South Africa. That's right, Patricia, we are. I've actually visited Norway several times, and it's beautiful there. Sweden is on my list. Matthew,
Patricia.
Yeah. Hey. So Matthew, we were talking a little bit before we started this actual stream, and we were talking about your sort of overseas trips that you took playing the saxophone around the world. Maybe we can start there, and you could just tell us a little bit about your background playing the saxophone and where it's led you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, at the risk of sharing too much, I'm older than perhaps I thought I would be. And so as a result, I've been playing the saxophone for 35 plus years. I started as a little kid with recorder and clarinets in primary school, but the saxophone was always a lot cooler. And then when I was in year 7, first form at high school, the big kids had the saxophones, and I thought, oh, that'd be nice. But then my parents bribed me to change schools when I was 15, and part of the bribe was to play the saxophone. If I changed schools, they'd give me a saxophone. And I thought, all right, that's a small price to pay for a saxophone. Yep, I'll do that. So they got me a saxophone, and I loved it. And so I played in, so at school I was in all the bands, the jazz band, the rock band, the orchestra, and I was musically promiscuous. Travis, I'll play anywhere, anytime, with anyone, in anything, which is kind of good fun. And so from there, I left high school and joined lots of bands, and I'm going to be a rock star when I grow up, and all that kind of thing. I've been fortunate to play with some vaguely well-known names here in Australia, and I've been able to take my saxophone overseas many times. And relatively, in the last couple of years, I've been involved in a musical theatre group. And there on the screen, I think I can see what you're sharing. That
Okay,
top
great.
video,
I was actually going to say, please excuse me if you see me looking away. I'm not being rude. I'm actually just,
no, that's all right.
So yeah, please go
I'm
ahead.
getting the hang of the layout of the screen here too. So that top video there that you've got on the screen there now, that's from a show that I was in. We played that many seasons of that show with a musical theatre group here in Melbourne, and we took that overseas to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2018 and 2019, so last year and the year before. And my daughter was involved in that show 2 years ago. So being able to play overseas, being able to share a stage with my daughter, and we've been on other tours with that musical theatre group. We've been around Germany and England and Wales, and we went to Adelaide too. Adelaide is a 1,000 odd kilometres, 600 odd miles from Melbourne. So
Right.
we've played that show a number of times. Really, really, really good fun. And music, again, I've used my saxophone for good and for evil. I love how I can just front up. Being an Australian, there's a little bit of bold and brash kind of in the Australian personality. I can just front up with my saxophone and say, "G'day, my name's Matthew. I'm from Australia. Can I play?" And I did that all around the USA. I did that all around Canada. And some people say yes, some people say no, and either way, it's all cool. So music, I really love being able to just join in, irrespective of the language. I can play music. In Edinburgh, for example, I played, there was an open mic night in some pub, and I ended up joining a band with two Germans who didn't speak English, and there was an Asian guy of some description and a woman from, where was she from? I can't remember where she was from. Some European country, but the point is, I didn't speak her language or their language. Neither of them spoke English, and just, "G'day, here's my sax. Can I play?" Yes, and we did, and we could not speak the same language, and it was such good fun. Really good fun.
That's fantastic. I'm actually reading a book at the moment called The 5 Second Rule. And a lot of what the author is talking about is actually just kind of like going for it and sort of like being bold enough to say, like, hey, can I play this or play that, and see where it leads you to.
Yes. Yep. And you could argue it's the same thing with Paid Membership Pro too. I happen to play the saxophone, but I do my thing, whatever my thing is. Deciding, using your 5 second rule there, well, no, let's do it. Let's make a website. Let's do my thing. Mine is saxophone. Yours is slightly different. His is slightly different again. Hers is slightly different again. Yes, I agree there. I need to read that book, I think. Travis?
Yeah, it's very cool. So Matthew, before we dive into the sort of the workings of your website and how you're using PM Pro to run a music membership site business, I wanted to ask you, in terms of being a musician, because if I think of like my father or some traditionalist kind of people growing up, they would actually suggest that you can do music, but maybe do it on the side and pursue a different kind of career.
Yes.
That kind of like,
yes.
don't set yourself up to be a starving artist. But it seems like things are going really well, and I'm very happy to hear that. So can you give us some advice as aspiring musicians who want to pursue something that they're obviously passionate about? What was sort of the key ingredient for you that ended up, getting you to the point where you are now?
The saxophone is my passion. I really love it. And like I was saying before, I'll play anywhere, anytime, anything with anybody. Having said that, I have my niche. I prefer, if I'm given a choice, I prefer to play sort of rock, funk, soul, blues, kind of, drums, kind of with a beat. But that's me. Musicians, I know what you mean. Being the starving artist, the musical, music is an interesting one. Music can be, you must do your scales, and you must do this, and you must learn how to read music, and you must. I disagree to a large extent. It is my opinion, and there are many people who will shout me down as being wrong, but I disagree. I think music should be fun, and as a result of that, to answer your question, because I have fun, I try to, and I don't have to try too hard because it's genuine. I love playing my particular niche of music, which again comes down to the business side of it. If I am passionate about my little corner of the musical world, then that makes it a little bit easier to attract my perfect audience, my perfect students, my perfect the people that I want to attract. I repel because I can teach you saxophone without reading music, and you can have fun, and if you want to, you can grow up to be a rock star. All right, well, with that in mind, that's going to turn off people who are heavily into orchestral or heavily into the traditional side of music. And that's fine. That works. So to answer your question, because I have been focused on my thing, my little piece of it, that attracts my audience, my students, my website visitors, my YouTube visitors. It repels the people that don't like what I say. Again, for the sake of the argument, you're wearing a blue shirt right now here, Travis. I'm wearing a black shirt. That does not mean that I hate blue shirts, and that does not mean that you hate black shirts, but it does mean more than likely I'm probably going to attract more black shirt people than blue shirt people. And that's obviously that's a simplistic, very simplistic kind of analogy there, but that's the kind of idea. And that doesn't mean I don't like blue shirts, and that doesn't mean that you don't like black shirts, but the point is there. So by being narrowly focused and genuinely enjoying my thing, you could do the same. You could argue the same for art. Some people like painting with watercolors. Some people like making sculptures out of clay. Some people like using pencil. It's quite literally that simple. So my music is my thing, just like his sculpture is his thing, or her drawing is her thing.
And that makes perfect sense, and I love that. Firstly, I've taught myself to play the guitar without reading music, so I can totally appreciate, going in for the kind of learn an instrument and get to a part or a point where you can start playing as quickly as possible.
Yes,
because I've gone the route of trying, and this is much when I was much younger, but I've gone the route of trying to go to a teacher who sort of, tried to do the foundational, okay, we're going to learn to read music. And it didn't last for me because I felt like I didn't see progress. And the funny thing is, once I started teaching myself to play the guitar, I naturally became more inclined to be interested in learning to read music later on. Once I, so I did it a little bit of a backwards. And I think that's a great takeaway, is to find your niche. And also, you don't necessarily have to, and like you said, your niche is not the traditional music kind of way of doing things. You mentioned that you like to play rock. I'm trying to see where I saw it here. There's a rock, soul, funk, and blues, and get your students playing as quickly as possible.
Classic hits, yes, that kind of thing. Particularly with adult beginners, I think, and again, this is my opinion. So, and I fully understand that not everyone has the same opinion. But as an adult beginner, chances are really high you have in your head an idea of what you want to play, and you have only a limited amount of time. And so as a result, well, where's the quickest win? The quickest win is to be able to play the riff from Baker Street on your saxophone, because that is a cool song. Or the riff from, Careless Whisper, George Michael.
Yes.
Two different, whatever. Insert your favorite riff here. From a guitar perspective, Smoke on the Water.
Absolutely.
You got to learn that. That's just the way it is.
Yes,
same deal with the saxophone. So the quicker wins means that you can take a bit more progress, which in turn means you'll have a few more quick wins, which in turn means you will be able to decide in 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 2 years, 10 years time, whether you want to continue or go down a different path and yes, maybe learn to read music and maybe join the orchestra, or hang out in your bedroom and jump off the couch and stage dive in your lounge room. Or join the local community band, or join, play with your friends in the church band, or you've got a mate who plays bass guitar and he's got a mate who plays drums. Hey, can I come and play with you? How cool is that? It's awesome. It's a social thing. It's fun.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've got a little 5-year-old who's showing a deep interest in drums and specifically electric guitar. And he says he wants to learn how to rock and roll. So we're trying to get him going as quickly as possible.
We'll get one of those electronic drum kits there, Travis, because a real drum kit in the hand of a 5-year-old can be rather noisy.
Menacing, yeah.
Your neighbors won't like that.
Yeah. Cool. So Matthew, you've given us a little bit of a background about you yourself and your musical history. Then at some point you started coming up with music lessons or advertising to do music lessons. And I'm talking before you actually moved on to the online membership side of things. From what I could understand from Unsee and from your case study, that's how things sort of moved for you. Could you tell us a little bit about what made you start giving out lessons before we dive into what made you go to online lessons and how that all fits together?
Yeah, sure. When I was at university as a late teenager, early 20 something, I was studying music at university here in Melbourne. And so as a result, I was going to be a music teacher when I grew up. And so that, and playing in bands and doing the music teaching course, that kind of was a foretold destiny. So as a young starving student, it was a good idea to teach. So I taught little kids when I was at university, and I enjoyed it. And then, and for various reasons, which I won't bore you with, uni didn't quite finish for me. So I never got the official qualification, but I've always kind of dabbled in music lessons, particularly for the younger students. But as I got older, so did my students. And so, for a few years, I'd teach after school and in the evenings on the weekends. That was a nice little source of income for many, many, many years. And then I stopped it for a year or two, and then went back to it for a year or two. And so it's been on and off for decades. Fast forward to in the last couple of years, I wanted to scale a bit more. From a one-on-one perspective, I don't know what it's like in South Africa, and I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but certainly in Melbourne, it is difficult to get. At least this is my experience. I know many teachers who have survived, but it's difficult to get a full-time income from and an income that I'd like to have, as opposed to the income on the lower end of things. So it's difficult from a music teacher perspective. Primary school music teachers get paid very little, as do high school music teachers. From a after school perspective, there's only so many students you can fit in. It'd be nice to see my wife and kids. So it's not overly compatible with family life. I like, my wife, she's nice. I like her a lot. Same deal with my teenage daughters. They're nice people too. I'd rather hang out with them. And that's no disrespect to my students. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. So from how do I scale my music business? Was the thought process there. All right, well, my next door neighbour, he plays bass guitar, and he showed me a couple of years ago a bass guitar lessons website that he subscribes to, and the light bulb, boom, whoa.
Hit.
I'm the worst bass player in the world, Travis. I cannot. I had bass guitar lessons at university, and I just can't play the bass guitar. But I could see my neighbours when he logged into his bass guitar subscription website. I thought, oh, there's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
And Udemy and LinkedIn Learning and Skillshare and various other online learning platforms. that was all starting to happen a few years ago, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I've dabbled with it, and some of my students, my in-person students, they call in sick, and I really wanted to really want to learn this particular song. Matthew, can you make a video for me? Yeah, sure, I can make a video for you. So I send the video to the student as a once-off, a one-to-one again. But suddenly, again, the epiphany with my neighbour's bass player website. It's not his website. He subscribes to it.
Right.
I thought, I can do this. My saxophone and a video camera, and I do IT stuff as well. I have an IT background as well. So the combination, the light bulb went off, and so here I am.
Fantastic. And I can totally relate to the fact that, being a music teacher can be difficult, and it's sort of to get a stable, stream of income, even because, I've just seen it like growing up with going to lessons. If the tiniest thing would come across, it's very easy to push the music lesson another day or so, maybe don't pay for it, or there's that awkward should I pay for it,
a couple of times 2 years ago or thereabouts, 2 years ago, as I was sort of winding, I still have a few private students now, but a couple of years ago I had a session of 4 separate students in the evening, bang, 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 one after the other. They all cancelled. And so I'm standing there for almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
And they cancelled one at a time. And you kind of go, that would have been good to know yesterday.
Absolutely.
But again, not complaining. It happens.
It comes with the business. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. And
same with, at the moment with coronavirus and pandemics and things, all my gigs, the bands I'm in, they've all been cancelled and have been for months and months and months now. It happens. That's just the way it is, unfortunately, with the music industry.
Yeah. And would you say that since you have started a online business that you've gotten more international clients or customers, or are you still mainly Australians that are signing up?
No, actually, they're mostly from the UK and from the USA. Proportionally speaking, don't quote me, but probably 30% are from the UK, 30% of my students are from the USA, and the remaining 40% are from everywhere else.
And I mean, that's fantastic. That's, a market that you would never have tapped into.
Exactly. Yep. I wouldn't have
giving local.
I would never have picked that. Never.
Yeah. So I'm also seeing here that your students, which is very nice to see, we have students from your testimonial page that maybe I can bring it up here real quick. It looks like you've got everyone from an 11-year-old all the way, at least on here, all the way up to a 70-year-old retired.
Yes. And there's another page too with other testimonials. I think and that's got my oldest student that I'm aware of is how old was she? I think she just turned 90, and she's going to be a rock star when she grows up.
Oh, fantastic! That's wonderful. Sorry about that change in screen. I just see that Ansi is going to be joining us, so I thought to bring her on, and she can also have a chat with us as we go.
Hey, Ansi, how you going?
Hey, nice to meet you, Matthew.
And you too. You too. I was telling Travis that we've had some nice email conversations, but hadn't actually met
nice
in person.
Put a face to the emails.
Yes, and right back at you.
So for everyone who is watching us, Ansi wrote up the case study about Matthew's online music business. It is on our site, and I have linked it down in the show notes if you want to check it out. It's basically a summary of what we're talking about today. And if you are just joining us, I have Matthew from howtoplaythesax.com on with us, and we are just chatting a little bit about his music membership business. He uses Paid Memberships Pro to run his business, and we would Ansi, if you weren't listening before, we were just chatting about how Matthew sort of moved from a local kind of music teacher to developing an online website and actually tapping into a international market, which I find very inspiring. He actually said that quite a lot of his students come from the UK and the US and the rest of the world. So, Matthew, as soon as I logged onto your homepage, I was met with, and I'll just go ahead and share my screen here. And Ansi, if you have any questions, feel free to ask Matthew along the way. So I noticed that you have would you like 7 free beginner saxophone lessons? Can you tell us a little bit about your thinking and strategy behind this? Because a lot of people think that you shouldn't give anything away for free, if that makes sense.
Yep. There's no, you're right, and there's I guess there's 2 schools of thought there. And again, please argue with me here, Travis.
Yes.
My name's Matthew. I'm from Melbourne in Australia, and I play the saxophone. Nobody knows who I am. I'm not Mick Jagger. I'm not Beyonce. My name is Matthew. So as a result, who on earth really knows that I exist, really? So therefore, the argument says, well, if I don't show I can do and who I am, then they'll never know. So you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. The school of thought A says never give away you want people to pay for it. School of thought B, well, your audience don't know what you can do, so how will they know if they don't see it? They're not going to pay for it if they can't see it. They can't see it, then they're not going to pay for it. So the idea behind there is, I guess, classic lead magnet, for want of a terminology. Lead magnet idea is that if you give me your name and your email address, I will send you. Actually, it's more than 7. I say 7, and then I give it 8 or 9. But don't tell anyone. That's a secret. That's a hopefully a delight the recipient tactic.
Yeah.
So the idea is that, well, here's a little taste. I've got hundreds of lessons in my for my members. So the first 7 are not going to certainly hurt my bottom line. The first 7 or 8 or 9, plus all the other emails in between that give hints and tips and ideas and suggestions that aren't actually technically lessons. They're more, they come along for the ride. It shows people what I can do, who I am, and like we were talking about earlier, Travis, before Ansi joined us, this is me. You either like me or you don't. And if you like me, great, come along for the ride. I'd love to have you. And if you don't like me, that's also great. No problem. You do you, I'll do me. Everybody's happy.
Fantastic. And I guess I asked that question as a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, but I actually totally agree with you and the strategy behind that. I mean, with Paid Memberships Pro, we also offer a free membership level, and you can build out a pretty robust, membership for free without having to pay for anything. And it's exactly that. In a online world that we live in at the moment, there is a multitude of music lessons online. And how are people going to know that what you offer is for them unless they get a taste? So I totally agree with you. And of course, then, as you said, it's a lead magnet or a lead generation tool that you can always use to market to and add value to your customers and your members moving forward. So we always try and recommend it.
Yeah, exactly. And the same with the Paid Memberships Pro YouTube channel, the same with my YouTube channel. It's not, I'm not giving away the farm, and neither are you, but in the same breath, educating those people who may be interested, which works well for everybody. So the lessons I've got on my YouTube channel are heavily edited, heavily condensed. They give an excellent taste, and if you want to learn how to play whatever song, you can find it on my YouTube channel, and everybody's happy. But if you want the full lesson, if you want the hints and the tips and the tactics around the notes, and there are more notes in the lessons inside my membership, then come on in, the water's fine. But like, it's the same. It's I don't want to use the term marketing, but it kind of is. It's helping.
Yeah.
I firmly believe I want to help people in any way that they can receive help. And like what you've just described, I've got my free components, and they are perfectly. There is nothing wrong with them at all. They are 100% awesome, just like yours and Paid Membership Pros, Travis. But in the same breath, if you choose to give me some money, if you choose to join me and come along with the ride, there's so much more.
Yes. No,
and some of the pros of joining your paid levels are the community behind it, right?
Yes.
You have the forums.
Yes. So people do get to converse with each other. There's a shout out to Mark, who is on one side of Australia, and Jason, who is on the other side of Australia, and they have very amusing chats. it makes me laugh. They're on the other side of the country. And similarly, shout out to Annette in New Zealand, and Lorraine in Canada, and Henriette in where she's in Denmark. There's these people who are, and Carolyn and Pete, who are in the UK. They're all sort of having, and Andy in the UK as well. They're all having chats, and they're all talking to each other and just gleaning little snippets from each other, which is really cool. Really cool.
That is fantastic. I wanted to ask you, Matthew, as you were speaking, so you mentioned that you give 7 free lessons away. And so just so I understand how this all works, do you have a set 7 YouTube videos or, PDFs, or how does that actually work? Or is it actual like Zoom call kind of lessons that you do? Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes in terms of what people can expect from your lessons.
Yep, sure. They are all pre-recorded. So I did the work on the first 7, to be honest, 2 years or more than 2 years ago. So it's all pre-recorded. The 7 free lessons are delivered by email, and they link back to my website. They link back to hidden pages on my website. The videos are hosted on Vimeo. Vimeo is a very well-known video hosting platform. Arguably, YouTube and Vimeo are the main ones. Pros and cons with both, obviously. YouTube is more of a search engine and is a how do I do stuff. Vimeo Vimeo videos are more for a purpose, in my opinion. Vimeo is it's a different target market. But the good thing about Vimeo videos, hosting your videos on Vimeo, Vimeo, you can hide them. You can have them only be displayed on one specific website. Yeah, you can share them all over wherever you like as well. But if you want to, you can lock them down and have them only on one specific website. Or you can broaden it a little bit and share them to people who only have the link. Or there's a number of permutations and combinations on that. So my videos are on Vimeo. I lock them down. So my email sequence, which is all automated, the email sequence goes out in every few days. Every couple of days you get a new lesson as an email. The email has a link that says come to this page on my website. So they click the link, and there on that page is a video, and there's a little bit of text underneath. And yes, also on those pages there's some PDF downloads as well.
Fantastic.
And similarly, in other emails that I'm sending to my 7 free lessons subscribers, there's links to PDFs. So you click the link and it downloads a PDF as well, all that kind of stuff. Yes.
Brilliant. We actually have started writing up a blog post on how to actually lock down videos using Vimeo. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, because a lot of people are starting to make more and more video content. And that's one, they think that you should use YouTube, but YouTube, and I agree with you, is a lot more for your free users, and to get traction and to get an audience and build up audience around your videos like that.
And YouTube's easy to get, can get distracted very easily on YouTube, and that's what YouTube do. The YouTube offices, they do that on purpose. So you go down the spiral of cat videos and funny fail videos, and then you're looking at the sport, etc. Vimeo is a little bit more focused, and so you go to Vimeo for a specific idea, and you probably won't get distracted. And so as content creators like myself, Vimeo means that you can host your video, you can restrict all the other distractions, and so it's just that one thing.
And do you pay for a Vimeo subscription in order to have access to those? Okay, great. So yeah. And what I love about this is kind of like the holy grail in theory, where you do the work up front, like a large portion of work, but then it can repeatedly sell. Even arguably while you are sleeping, people can actually go and sign up for things. And I think that's a fantastic business model for anyone to try and look into, is this kind of like, I'm going to do the work up front. It's obviously took you a good amount of time to develop those 7 lessons and all of the lessons moving forward. But once it's done and once it's on your site, quite a large, and I'm not trying to say it's all done and dusted, but quite a large portion of the job is done, and it can sort of, get feet and repeatably be used by many people thereafter.
Yes, you're exactly right. So again, for the sake of the argument, a simplistic analogy, here is a pen. If hiding it, camera's a bit weird. If I want to sell pens, then I need to make a pen, and then I sell it, and you buy it, and you've got the pen. Now what do? Well, if I want to sell another pen, I have to make another pen. And then I sell to you there, Nancy, and you've got your pen, and you're wrapped. You've got your pen, fantastic. And you tell your best friend down the road, hey, Matthew's got these awesome pens, but to give your best friend a pen, I have to make another one. With my videos, once I've made one, it is there forever. It's digital. I never really, in my case, a saxophone lesson is not going to change. I suspect I know there are many other scenarios where you might have to redo the lessons in some situations. Software, for example, people who do software tutorials, software is always changing. And Paid Membership Pro is also changing too. It's different now than what it was a few years ago, in some respects. So with the videos, I can do the work once. Purely by coincidence, I love playing my saxophone, and I love teaching, and I love making the videos, and I love making them available to my members. So actually I do one or more every week, and have for a number of years now, and I will continue to do that. But I could, if I wanted to, and I won't, and I make that very clear, I'm not going to, but if I wanted to, I could stop right now today. And I've got 150 something lessons in there right now today. And really, if people come and people go, I don't need to do anything else to it. I'd be mad if I did stop, and I don't want to stop, and I love it, and I won't stop. But I could, and I am aware of various memberships where you do the work once, and for the sake of the argument, I'm making up numbers, but say there's 20 courses, 20 lessons, 20 videos, 20 things inside a membership area, and people and the owners of those membership models don't have to do any more work from a content creation perspective.
Yeah.
So, for me, I like it, and I would do it anyway. If I'm playing my saxophone anyway, then I might as well record it. And if I'm going to record it, then I might as well put it up on the website. And if I might as well put it up on the website, then I might as well edit it a little bit and make a small version and put it on YouTube, which in turn gets the snowball going. And, then suddenly maybe at some point I can run off and retire and live on an island and drink pina coladas under a coconut tree somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah,
I'll take the saxophone with me, but
Can you invite us?
maybe, I don't know.
That sounds great. Matthew, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I've got maybe one or two more questions for you. I know it's pretty late there. It must be closing in on
No, that's
six
all right.
o'clock. Um,
All good.
so if I bring up real quick your my screen once again,
Yes.
I see that you have a couple of options. So you've got 3 tiers that you can subscribe to. And I wonder if you could just talk us through a little bit about each of these. And maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing which particular option works the best for you in terms of like which one do you find gets more signups, and maybe give a reason or your theory behind why that is.
Okay. Maybe if I can work backwards into that
Yep.
question there,
Sure.
Travis. Roughly I get 33% of each of them. There's 3 of them. It's roughly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
Okay.
That is different to what I was expecting when I put that there and put that little concept, those 3 separate scenarios there. That was different to how I thought it'd be. I wasn't expecting pretty much equal 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. From a technological perspective, Paid Membership Pro allows me to separate those membership components. The people who sign up to the first one can see everything, but they can't access everything. So the first one there, on the left of the screen, is basically the beginner's course, which has from memory 24, 25. 20 more than 23 lessons. It's the beginners, it's the brand new beginners who've never played saxophone or never played music before. That's great for brand new beginners. The middle one is the monthly membership, and they get access to everything inside my membership members area. There's again, where are we? We're at the end of August now in 2020. Roughly, I've got 150 odd lessons in there, plus a similar number of PDF downloads, and there's backing tracks, and there's forums, and blah 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 blah. There's a lot of stuff in there. So the monthly people get access to everything for as long as they keep paying per month.
For sure.
Again, I can separate those people inside my membership area, and if I wanted to, like I did with the beginner's course, they can see everything. They can look at some and access some of it, but not all of it. But my monthly members, they can access everything. Same deal with the yearly membership. The yearly membership can access everything as well. It's cheaper overall to buy it from a yearly perspective than it is per month. So the idea there is again a little bit of, I don't want to belittle it. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's not really marketing. It is more giving choices to the people who is trying to appeal to a different audience, or a different budget, or a different price point, or different needs from my audience, from my students. I can, and what I'm going to be doing in the next month or so is adding in some more courses. And what I like about Paid Memberships Pro is I can, when people log in, I can set that this particular membership level, I can set them their own specific home page with one of the add-ons in Paid Membership Pro. And that again, that's just that there was an epiphany when I kind of thought about that. I can send these people to this page when they log on and they can't see anything else. I can send those people to that page, log on, and they can't see anything else. And so that suddenly opens up a whole heap of opportunities that I've been, it takes time to set these things up, and I've been meaning to, and I've started that process. So that allows me to appeal to a greater number of potential students. It allows me to appeal to a greater number of potential price points. That allows me to appeal to a greater number of students overall, and it gives choices to everybody, which means in turn that I get my warm and fuzzies because I get to help more people. And and the pleasant side effect of that is that, well, the till rings as well. There's a little bit of my PayPal account gets a little bit of a boost to the balance every now and then too. So that's and that's nice, you know.
And I like that
my ice cream addiction.
Yeah. And what I like about it is 33 Australian dollars for a one-time fee for
They're
for the
US dollars.
These US dollars, sorry.
Yeah.
But even still, 33 US dollars for a one-time off 23, 24, 25 lessons is very affordable. So
yes,
and that plus the $1 trial that you have here, and then $17 a month. It's a very low barrier to entry for people who want to just try it out and like give it a go. So I really like that.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, and sorry to interrupt. The reason I do that, with my one-on-one students, real life, we're in the same room, and again, it's pandemic time at the moment, so I haven't had any students in the same room for a good couple of months now. But I charge upwards of $80, $90, $100 an hour for a one-on-one student. So the idea of $17 a month is, to me, and to a lot of people, is a no-brainer, because you can have, there's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of lessons in there. And even if you do go down the traditional stereotypical music lessons route, one lesson a week and a couple of times of practice a week, it's still chicken feed compared to let's say $90 an hour.
Fantastic. And I think I have one more question for you, Matthew, before we can maybe wrap up our discussion. For those music teachers and tutorers who want to start their own membership site and get going on this, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the time it takes to actually get to this point, because what we have seen, especially during this unfortunate time of this pandemic, is a lot of people are moving online and trying to move their brick and mortar business to an online platform and kind of expect the same results that they were getting pre-pandemic. And now the thing is
and I think that also once they think it's going to happen within the next few weeks, like tomorrow, I'm going to get everything up and running and sorted. And
yes, unfortunately, I fell into that camp. I naively, in retrospect, thought, this will be great. I'll film a few videos. I'll slap them up on the internet. I'll make $1 million. I'll do that, and then next week I'll do something else. It didn't quite work out that way. I subscribe to a membership training website called membershipacademy.com. Membership Academy. They have got a whole heap of training courses, and they have podcasts and YouTube channels and blah, 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 blah. They've got a whole heap of really interesting things. What they suggest, and in retrospect, unfortunately, I probably need to agree with them, if you're going to start your own music lessons business, it's good to have an audience first. If you build it, they may or may not necessarily come. The business adage of if you build it, they will come. If you create a business, your clients will come to you. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way for me straight away. Because like we were talking about earlier, my name's Matthew, I'm in Melbourne. Who knows? And to be honest, who cares? Hopefully my mum does, hopefully my wife and my daughters do. My dad probably does as well. But apart from that, no one really cares. So the idea of building an audience first is potentially a good idea. I did not have an online presence before I started. And that's an interesting school of thought. You build it and they will come, or, well, actually, no, have an audience first, do your thing for free, and then when you've got a big audience and you've given a lot of love for free, then you can ask your audience to buy my stuff. Two schools of thought, very different, and they're very, we're talking 2 years apart, really. If you want to start this to do that, or vice versa, really, it doesn't happen overnight in most cases, 99.9% of times. Arguably, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, well, it only took him arguably a few years to do his thing. Bill Gates, it took him decades. Steve Jobs took decades. Elon Musk from Tesla, it's taken him years and years and years. These kind of things arguably do not happen overnight. And if they do, probably because the person had an audience to begin with. So that's my main, I guess, hint. To create a video is relatively easy. You just use your phone. You as time goes on, yes, you can spend a bit more money and buy a U-Butte camera, and yes, you can buy a U-Butte microphone, and yes, you can grow, but just use your phone. Really,
just get going.
Yeah, just get going. YouTube's free. Put it on YouTube.
Yeah. And I think because you spoke about your passion for the saxophone and for dealing with people and actually essentially helping people progress in learning the saxophone. And I think that is also one kind of point that you have to try and remember is if you're passionate about something, then you're likely to stick it out for a longer period of time.
Yes.
And because I feel like there must be some sort of bell curve out there on the web going where it will take a bit of a time before you actually, get a bit of traction where people start coming, and you need to push through those kind of drought months before you can actually get to a place where you start seeing real progress and ultimately memberships coming in. So I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, and it does snowball. It does start very slowly, but the cartoon-esque analogy of the snowball going down the hill and knocking out the coyote or the roadrunner at the bottom of the hill, or Bugs Bunny. It does snowball. So the first membership sale, yes, I got a membership, woohoo! And then 2 months later they cancel. I lost my member. Oh no! but then it grows and it snowballs, and so then the cancellations are inevitable, and that's okay. That's just the way it is. You run out of milk in the fridge, so you go to the supermarket and you buy more milk. It's the same deal with I think from a membership perspective. Members come, members go. That's okay, but the idea is with a little bit of passion and a little bit of effort and probably more time than you'd hope. I'm just trying to be a little bit realistic. You can get more people coming in than going out. You can stop the leaking. You can make people happier with their decision once they're in. You can make people happier with their decision to stay, and you can give them incentives to stay. And with your passion of your business, and in my case it's saxophones and teaching the saxophone, I can inspire people to have fun, play saxophone, be awesome, and repeat. And with that little mantra and my motto, as it were, then it grows and it grows and it grows. But don't tell anyone. I do it for free anyway because I love it. So, and there's the beauty. I've had other online businesses that I haven't been passionate about, and I've made a bit of cash, and that's been good. But ultimately, it turned into a bit of a pain in the proverbial. So finally, for me personally, my passion, my skill set, my hopes and dreams, and that's a little bit corny, but hey, it allows me to keep going and keep doing another video and keep doing another video. Today I've edited 2 videos that I've recorded in the past. Tomorrow I plan to record at least 2 more and hopefully 3. It takes me half an hour to record a 20-minute video. It takes me an hour and a half, 2 hours to edit it. It then takes me another hour to mess around with it and upload it. And then it takes me another half an hour to make a web page. So for each 20-minute video, I've got an investment of easily 3 or 4 hours for each lesson. And I've done that more than 150 times, and I will continue to do that. So there's a major, maybe it's just me, maybe I just can't edit videos very quickly. I don't know. But
No,
it could
take
be.
time.
Hey man, I'm a musician. I'm not a video editor. But the point is, the passion allows me to keep going, and I really enjoy it. And I think and Paid Membership Pro has helped me to find that. Again, I'm old. I turned 50 just recently, and so for the first time really in my life, only in the last couple of years, I know what I want to be when I grow up. And in the past, I've done things, and yes, I've done well, and I'm not having a whinge by any stretch of the imagination. I've enjoyed the last 30 years, and my saxophone has featured very heavily in that. But the planets have now aligned, and now I've found what I want to do, and the saxophone and the internet and my phone. And I've bought some more bells and whistles and toys to make it easier for me. But ultimately, my tool of choice, which is my saxophone, my other tool of choice, which is my phone, and some other really handy bells and whistles, such as, and I'm not belittling the bells and whistles. The bells and whistles are very important, but some other components, such as Paid Membership Pro, such as a video hosting service, such as a website creation service, such or tool, such as a study and online learning process, so like I was talking about before. There's been a few. It's grown. I've bumbled my way through it. It hasn't cost me very much to do. It's taken longer than I wanted it to, but I'm on a roll now. It's snowballing.
That's fantastic.
I have now more than enough chocolate ice cream in my freezer to last me the rest of my life. And that is my ultimate goal. Too much chocolate ice cream.
And that makes it all worth it. Matthew,
I love that quote. I love that way you said that. Now you know what you want to be when you grow up. And I think everybody has a misunderstanding that you have to know what you want to be when you're 18 or when you start adulthood. And if you haven't found it, just keep looking, just keep searching for that one thing that's really resonates with your heart.
Follow the passion. Yes, well and truly.
Fantastic. Matthew, I feel like I could literally speak to you for hours. I've got so many more questions, but I think I need to, end this webinar episode right here. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for spending time with us just to share your experience and how you're using PM Pro. And I'm just really inspired to go out and do stuff. And I wish you all the best.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Travis, and Nancy as well. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it. Maybe another time. We'll have another chat another time.
Yes.
That sounds fantastic. So thank you, everyone. I see that we've had a couple of viewers who've stuck around all the way through the hour. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for your comments. And if you have any more comments or questions, please be sure to leave it down in the comment section. This will be available on YouTube. And definitely go and check out Matthew's site. Let me bring it up here real quick one more time. Maybe grab a saxophone through your local thrift store if you can find one, and then start off with a beginner lesson here with Matthew and see how things go. I know myself and Ansi are pretty excited to try this. So check out his site is howtoplaythesax.com, and you can start your saxophone journey today. Who knows where it will lead to.
Awesome. Thank you. Maybe just off the top of my head there, Travis, if you go to, and I haven't done it yet, but I'll do it tomorrow. If you go to howtoplaythesax.com/PMP, I'll put a bit of a discount there for anyone who happens to, I've got to write that down. So now that I've said it, PMP. Howtoplaythesax.com/PMP. I'll put a little bit of a discount on that page for anyone who is interested in online saxophone lessons.
Perfect. Wow. Thank you for that, Matthew. That's great. Cool. So with that, we don't have any questions that have come into the live stream. So I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar episode. And if you did enjoy it, let us know and we will try and make some more for you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.